The dead are coming back to life outside the isolated Micmac reserve of Red Crow, except for its indigenous inhabitants who are strangely immune to the zombie plague. The movie starts by exhibiting an angler who is getting a lot of fish from the stream. What's more, he carries them to the shore and starts cutting them and cleaning them, yet something bizarre occurs. It takes a long time to get those fish out of the water. However, at that point, out of nowhere, a fish whose stomach was cut begins moving. We see that all the other dead fish begin moving as well. The angler was very astounded to see this, since he had never seen something like this before. Welcome to the review recapped. Subscribe for a bit of good luck and enjoy. After this, we see a sheriff in a cop's vehicle. A man from a similar town had called and he planned to meet him. Sooner or later, he arrives at his home and converses with him. Let me know the matter. For what reason did you call me here? Then the man shows his canine to the sheriff, who was in bad shape. It was taking its last relaxes. Seeing its condition, the sheriff asks the man, "How have you treated it?" The man answers, "Sheriff, I did nothing to it. I figure it had probably eaten the toxic substance that I had placed in the entire house to kill the rodents. However, I'm not affirming that it probably ate the toxic substance, I'm simply speculating. Presently it couldn't be restored, and it was in such an excess of torment that is the reason the sheriff kills it with a projectile. So that its aggravation is likewise finished." After this, the sheriff returns home and his significant other lets him know that the police captured our child Joseph, and your dearest child. He was the genuine child of the sheriff and his better half stepson, whom she was calling dearest. She could have done without her stepson, since his way of behaving was peculiar. She says our young men are in the care of the police. To accomplish something soon, go to the police headquarters right away and get them delivered. According to On It, the sheriff, "I don't take work in a rush, presently show restraint." After saying this, the sheriff goes to his father. The sheriff's father was similar angler we saw toward the start. At the point when the sheriff arrives there, the father shows him the fish that were resuscitated. They were hopping bizarrely. This thing was additionally seen by the sheriff. Interestingly, he says have to take a hard pass a lot of about it. Come on, we should consume these fish. To eliminate the petroleum can, he went to his vehicle, yet when he opened the storage compartment of the vehicle, he was shocked. The canine that the sheriff had killed some time prior, it was restored and goes after him. Then, at that point, the sheriff, as though to save his life, moves back and shoots it once more. This time the slug hit his head, so the canine was at last killed. After its passing, the sheriff's father places those fish and canines in a certain something and sets it ablaze. So the foundation of these issues is done, which is reawakening in the afterlife. After that, the sheriff left and went to the police headquarters first to get his youngsters delivered. Presently the sheriff's children, who were secured in the cell, a man who had been in a terrible condition since the previous evening was likewise kept with him. He was retching. According to seeing his condition, the sheriff's child, "How about you kick the bucket?" Inevitably, the man spews a great deal of blood. Seeing this, the sheriff's children get frightened. They immediately came to the entryway and began thumping on the entryway of the cell and began requesting help from outside. Hearing his voice, the sheriff and a cop came there rapidly and came inside while opening the entryway. At the point when the police officer sees the state of the man, he feels that these two high priorities have done something to him. Check the man. As the cop moves close to him, the man out of nowhere stood up. Out of nowhere, he comes and gets the cop by the neck, puts him close to the wall and hits him a ton. He attempted a ton to escape, yet the man nibbled the cop's chest. Seeing this, Joseph comes into the center to get him delivered and punches that man's face. However, he additionally nibbles Joseph's hand. Meanwhile, the police officer had got himself delivered. He gets a bar and starts hitting that man. The man tumbles down. The cop hits him so often with the bar that the man's head is torn and he falls there. He kicked the bucket on the spot. In the wake of leaving, Joseph went to the emergency clinic to get his wrap. Then he meets his better half and figures out that she is pregnant, and they feel that we shouldn't keep this youngster. Be that as it may, his significant other was disheartened by this choice, so they choose to bring forth this kid. Presently it is observed that there is a weird climate in the entire city. Individuals who are passing on are reawakening, and the living individuals who are debilitated are gnawing each other like there's no tomorrow. Then around evening time, a call came to Sharif about a comparable case in which a lady messed with her small kid who was recently conceived. Sharif was astounded and quickly went to that lady's home. At the point when he arrived there, that lady was doing odd things. After that, she likewise slapped Sharif. She makes him tumble down and messes with him gravely while going after him. Yet, the sheriff some way or another disposes of himself and assaults her with a major pole. He makes her tumble down and goes after her so often that the lady passes on. After this, we are shown the time following a half year. When this reason became visible. For what reason was this occurrence? The zombie infection had spread from one side of the planet to the other. Due to the chomp, someone else would likewise be tainted with this infection, and the infection spread like this. Presently a half year had passed, so the entire world was in a terrible state due to this infection. There was destruction. So in this climate, individuals who were saved from this infection had made a different spot for themselves. They confined themselves from the remainder of the world and laid out their domain, walling it in with a defensive wall, with the goal that no zombies from outside would come to their area. By remaining inside, they were likewise searching for better approaches to kill these zombies consistently. Presently it was observed that Joseph and his father Sheriff, who were brown, could battle zombies like this, since they had an exceptional quality in their blood. Along these lines, they used to endure even after being nibbled by zombies each time because their injuries mended rapidly. Furthermore, the infection didn't spread in the body. This capacity was practically in all earthy-colored individuals, however not in white individuals. This is the explanation that each time they are chomped by zombies, they can't battle the infection and become zombies. Presently Sheriff's subsequent child, Joseph's stepbrother, was white, however he was against white individuals, letting no white individual come inside who was alive outside. That's what he trusted, assuming somebody was tainted with this infection here. Every one of the white individuals inside would likewise get contaminated with this infection. Indeed, even today a young lady who was alive is brought to this area, yet she was chomped by a zombie, however doesn't tell to anybody. All things considered, she begins living here unobtrusively. Joseph and his better half were stressed and talking over that. Our kid, who is currently in his better half's tummy, couldn't say whether he is protected from this infection or not because his significant other was frightened. The explanation was that she was white and she had seen many such cases, in which the youngster turned into a survivor of this infection before birth and inside began eating his mom. On it, Joseph consoles her that you have to strongly disagree a lot about it. Presently around evening time, the sheriff figured out that he was running out of necessities around here. That is the reason he goes out with his father and a man to get things, while inside Sharif's subsequent child was drinking with his companions. He flipped out and went to that young lady who was a casualty of this infection, who was brought here today. He began going close to her, yet during this, the young lady transformed into a zombie. Her condition was looking most terrible, her mouth was dying, and her eyes were looking unusual. She becomes savage and goes after the sheriff's child. She gets a piece of his body and discards it, which hurt him so much that he began shouting noisily. Hearing his voice, everybody came there, and seeing this sight, they lost their psyches. At that point, Joseph had likewise come, and he saw that young lady and quickly went for it. They integrated her. Presently Joseph and his companion made his stride sibling to his mother with the goal that she can get him treated because she is a medical caretaker. However, Joseph's sibling realized that I was in such a terrible condition that I could not get by. He began lashing out at the earthy-colored individuals, particularly at his father Sheriff and his sibling Joseph, since they had brought that young lady inside who put him in such a condition. Presently he comes to his sibling Joseph and wounds him in the stomach. With the assistance of his companion, he opens the entryway of his region, and every one of the zombies runs inside. Presently, inevitably, the sheriff was stunned to see the state of his area. He converses with his significant other through the radio, and she lets him know that a ton of zombies have entered here. What's more, they have killed the greater part of our kin. Just 7 to 8 individuals are left who are caught in a room. Then the sheriff requests one of his companions to sit in the vehicle, and utter a sound while leaving. Hearing the vehicle, the zombies will come behind the vehicle. In this way we will occupy them and will save individuals. That man did likewise. When he went with the vehicle, a ton of zombies followed him. Meanwhile, the sheriff and his father headed inside and saved the leftover individuals individually while taking them out. In any case, when the sheriff was saving Joseph's better half, he was abandoned. Then the zombies gripped him and tossed him down. The zombies went after him severely and ate him. The sheriff was torn barbarously, because of which his difficult passing occurred. Presently the leftover individuals emerged and sat in the vehicle and took off. Be that as it may, every one of them was miserable as a result of the sheriff's demise. Then, at that point, a lady's call came to the sheriff's father, who was an occupant of their area. She said that here in a congregation, Sheriff's stepson and his sidekicks have detained us, so if it's not too much trouble, come and save us." Hearing this, the sheriff's father had sympathy for himself, and to help him, he began going towards the congregation. Presently in the vehicle, Joseph's significant other's condition begins deteriorating. It was the ideal opportunity for his youngster to be conceived. However, at that point Joseph's stepbrother comes and focuses a weapon on the two of them. Alongside him, he likewise brought a zombie so he could nibble Joseph's better half. Since he believed his better half should turn into a casualty of this infection, however, at that point Joseph's mother takes a weapon and shoots him from behind. During this, the zombie begins pushing toward them quickly. He gets Joseph's significant other, puts her down and tears into her. Seeing this, Joseph comes while running and goes after the zombie with a blade. He removes his head and isolates it from the body. Then, at that point, Joseph deals with his better half. The unfortunate lady says tragically, "I have turned into a survivor of this infection, and Joseph, you need to effectively save your kid." Presently along these lines, Joseph went off the deep end with outrage and needed to get payback from his stepbrother. He hits him with a blade and afterwards leaves him alive in the space of zombies with the goal that the zombies do terribly to him. As Joseph left, every one of the zombies met up and began tearing his stepbrother's head and messing with him severely. Joseph had taken off and come to his family. He came to the stream to keep money with every one of them so he could sit in the boat. What's more, leave from here and go to the opposite side, yet while following them, the zombies arrive at here. His granddad concludes that he will remain here and face the zombies. By then Joseph will take off with his mom and spouse. Presently Joseph would have rather not let his granddad be, nevertheless he needed to settle on a similar hard decision. He expressed farewell to his granddad, sat in the boat and departed from that point. In the end, we see that they stop the boat at an abandoned spot directly in the center of the stream, with the goal that his better half can bring forth her youngster. Since this is an abandoned spot, regardless of how boisterous she will shout, there is no risk of the zombies coming here. Inevitably, we see that her kid was conceived who was fit as a fiddle. There was no risk. Joseph, while holding his youngster, tells his better half, "Take your kid, our little girl is conceived." They were pushing ahead to go to a protected spot. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.